So I wanted to take a few minutes with this video to talk about 3 interesting PlayStation 5 stories, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. Now, the stories I wanted to go over today includes a game transforming experience on PlayStation 5 confirmed, a new backwards compatibility graphics update, and Xbox's crazy day yesterday with some pretty wild statements we're going to go over. First, yes or no, do you have an Xbox Series console or not? With this generation in its 3rd year, we get to look back at what's been produced, and Sony has been delivering a lot of great games. I'm just wondering if any of you have an Xbox as a secondary console as well, like myself, to play their games and take advantage of, something like Game Pass. So comment below, yes or no, if you have an Xbox Series console or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the first story of the video, game transforming experience. Reading from Push Square, Tekken 8 is skipping a PS4 iteration if you didn't know, and will instead be taking full advantage of PlayStation 5's fancy new tech. And while all aspects of the lovely machine are utilized, it's actually the SSD which will transform the player's experience and not necessarily the extra graphical muscle, although that helps. Franchise boss Katsuhiro Harada made some choice comments in the latest issue of Play magazine, stating that the ability to put players into matches faster is probably even the biggest thing that's going to evolve the player experience in the game. Harada has been saying other things we like the sound of too, and while we still don't have a firm release window, it's starting to look like the next installment of the venerable fighter could take the series to a whole new level. So the SSD conversation has been going on for some time this generation. The praise the console has been getting, the PlayStation 5, the last 3 years in terms of what it can do has been consistent. The SSD being one feature most favored by developers just because of how fast you can move assets around. For me, outside of the SSD, of course, the DualSense is an impactful piece of tech, and you kind of forget how much it impacts until you use another controller without any DualSense features. That's personally how I felt. I'm not really a fighting games fan, but I'm curious to see the difference between the Series X and PlayStation 5 versions of this game, considering the praise the PlayStation 5 SSD is getting here. Now, diving into the second story of the video, Xbox's wild comments from yesterday. So yesterday, as we know, Phil Spencer went on kind of funny on a well-timed interview just after the flaming wreckage of a situation that is Redfall and that whole thing that happened there. He spoke about multiple things in there, including not delivering on their 12-month promise, which they dropped last year, and how not all of these games, including Starfield and Forza Motorsport, mind you, were supposed to have been out by this June, and obviously they're not going to be. Starfield has already been delayed, and Forza we don't have a date on. He spoke about how Xbox should have gotten more involved earlier on with Redfall than they did to help them out, which is wild to hear, because while Bethesda is its own thing, it has its independence, you're the CEO of Xbox. You should be checking on your games as they progress, or somebody should be checking on the games as they progress, so you could have gotten more involved earlier, because you bought them over 2 years ago. Again, they bought them in 2021. It's wild to hear that they haven't been keeping tabs on them since then, over 2 years ago. This is a shining light on how things are managed over there, or I guess not managed, really. The interview covered some other items as well, but one of the craziest parts is this.
And I see it out there. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. So when you go and you're building on Xbox, we want our Xbox community to feel awesome. But this idea that if we just focused more on great games on our console, that somehow we're going to win the console race, I think doesn't really lay into the reality of most people. Like 90% of the people every year who walk into a retailer to buy a console are already a member of one of the 3 ecosystems, and their digital library is there. I see a lot of pundits out there that kind of want to go back to the time where we all had cartridges and discs, and every new generation was a clean slate, and you could switch the whole console share. That's just not the world that we are in today. There is no world where Starfield's an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen.
This statement in itself is wild to hear. People buy consoles for games. It's that simple. His idea of a walled garden like the mobile market doesn't really apply. Phones contain your entire life compared to consoles, so generally people have stuck with what they're used to because it's such a significant item in your life. Game consoles, on the other hand, aren't $1,000 machines, and people do switch each generation. Kids are one of the biggest markets. They don't have a back catalog. I see this out there as well. People buy multiple consoles. This isn't the same era anymore. A lot of gamers have become adults and have kids who game as well, and they want PlayStation or Nintendo. Why is that? Why do they want PlayStation or Nintendo? Because of the games. I've asked friends and coworkers why they get a PlayStation. These are casual players as well, the mass audience, and their answer comes back to Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, etc. Games. It's weird to see a CEO seemingly give up so easily. Why not test out your theory? Produce more games instead of excuses and interviews and podcasts, and we'll see some activity change. You don't need people to stop playing PlayStation to play Xbox. You just need more people to play Xbox, and games get you there. But you guys let me know if you got a PlayStation console because of the games or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And now diving into the final story of the video, PS5 Backwards Compatibility Graphics Update. Reading from Push Square, there was much skepticism of PlayStation 5's backwards compatibility prior to release, but it turned out really good. Practically the entirety of the PlayStation 4's library works on Sony's new-gen console and benefits from improved performance and faster loading times. That means the transition between PlayStation platforms has never been easier, and it's made the Japanese giant's latest device an easy and obvious upgrade. There has, however, been a recurring texture streaming issue affecting several games, most notably Shadow of the Colossus. This resulted in some assets appearing low resolution for no apparent reason on the PlayStation 5, marginally affecting the overall look of the Bluepoint remake. Fortunately, a recent firmware update has completely resolved this issue, suggesting that Sony has quietly upgraded the system's backwards compatibility behind the scenes. So, this is another backwards compatibility update to add on to the list. Previously, we spoke about Siphon Filter Dark Mirror supporting dual sticks, essentially updating the PSP emulator. Now we're here seeing the PS4 emulation process has gotten an update as well to fix the texture streaming. If you look at some of these images, entire textures have seemingly returned. It went from having no grass to completely having grass. But that's the fun part about these updates, seeing what people find outside of the official patch notes days later, maybe weeks later. But you guys let me know if you're still playing PlayStation 4 games on your PlayStation 5 or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button, as it always helps to subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with bring on the showcase. We are in potentially showcase month. I'm excited to potentially have a new PlayStation showcase finally upon us, some new first party announcements, some updates on, existing games, factions too. What's going on with my baby? I need to know. But if you guys are excited for the potential showcase, destroy the comment section with bring on the showcase, and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.